we had a month's rehearsal in London, and then we all came up to Liverpool the day before yesterday and had yesterday in a rehearsal room here, and today we've got our first day in the Everyman on the set, and it's fantastic. I love the sets. It's sort of rather sparse but beautiful at the same time. But it's always a strange thing getting onto the set because it's always a totally different size and shape than you remember, and also, than you sort of used to in the rehearsal room. And also the rehearsal room's got walls and the space doesn't. It's got seats. But it's a great thing being able to get into the space before we tech and just try and get used to it a bit. And I think a lot's going to change, a lot of movementy type stuff. But just in terms of where we are now with the play than we were when we last spoke, we've taken like a huge, massive leap forward. Yeah, we've done a run through, and I just felt quite privileged really to be in the room when I watched the run through, because I hadn't seen any of the scenes that I'm not in, which is a lot of the play, and I was really blown away by it. I think the performances are amazing. So it's all exciting. It's just sort of got a bit rubbish again now, but that's what happens when you get on the set, and then it will improve again. But we've got a long time to get it right, basically until our last performance in March.
So obviously, as a production progresses, you said the feelings do change about it. Things goes up and down, and things change, and your view on things changes.
Yeah.
Last time we spoke was about costume and styling and the really early days of what you thought your character might be.
Yeah.
What's the latest on that?
Well, I'd only seen drawings at that stage, and I was a bit unsure from looking at the drawings. And now I've had costume fittings, and I'm really happy. The costumes are amazing. I mean, I've used that word already, but they're gorgeous. All original vintage 70s clothes. They're not costumes, they're clothes. From a stall in Portobello, a lot of mine come from. And they're just right. They're just right, and I'm really happy. But I don't want to give too much away. Like it really matters.
And in terms of Reagan, any sort of new developments there? What are you feeling right at the moment?
A lot of developments. Loads. I've been through a kind of really big journey with her, and then it keeps changing, and I keep trying to sort of... it's a really hard part. Caroline, who's playing Goneril, and Amanda, who's playing Cordelia, and I sit together going, these parts are so hard. And they really are, but it's a fascinating challenge to try and find some understanding behind these, well, particularly the older two, these cruel women. But I think where we're at the moment is that they're sort of lonely and damaged women who express themselves in very different ways, and Regan has become it's quite sort of sexual, her relationship with Cornwall particularly, but it's quite a damaged relationship. It's quite controlling, I think, even though perhaps she doesn't realise that. And it's been interesting discovering how she uses her charm. And I think she's not a bad actress, Regan. But sort of deep down, it's all a bit empty, really. it's hard. I mean, it's hard. I'm not really achieving it yet. But I think this is my aim anyway. But I think Rupert, the director, is quite keen on the idea of the poison that overtakes Regan at the end being more an internal bitter hatred of her sister. So it's a real poison, it's real poisoning, but also a kind of internal, emotional poisoning of her spirit.
Is there something you can say about being at the Everyman in Liverpool?
It's the first day that I've ever seen the Everyman Theatre, and just from the outside the sign, I got like a bit of a sort of goose running over my spine. And coming into I think it's an incredible space. The way the seats are arranged around the thrust stage, and it's got an atmosphere. It's just got an atmosphere. I can't put my finger on it, but I felt all funny in there. It's really truly exciting to be here on this day, and I'm loving Liverpool. The sun's shining. I think it's going to be a really good 6 weeks. Yeah.